Do I have a story about being a bad parent? Yes, I totally do. Hello to all the Disney cruisers. If you're already part of our family, give me a like down below so I know that you're here. And if you have not subscribed to us yet, totally subscribe and show everyone how much you love Disney cruising. We are going to talk about getting sick on the ships. Yep, it happens, but I'm going to tell you a few things about being seasick on Disney Cruise Line. It is good to know that the newer ships have stabilizers in them, which do help with the rocking back and forth of the ship. I also want to note that on most cruises, especially those out of Port Canaveral and some out of Miami, the first night always seems to be the worst, and I think it's the direction that the ship is moving, because when you're leaving those ports, like the ship is going this way and the waves are coming in this way, but as you start to head south more towards the Caribbean, then the ship is going this way and the waves are going this way. So they're going the same direction. You're not cutting into them in perpendicularly. Right? Okay. Also, I think that a lot of the times it feels worse because you're kind of going faster and because you're just not used to it yet. But I have solutions that hopefully will help you to not feel the rocking of the ship as much. The worst places for me to feel the ship moving are the dining rooms because they are low and towards the back of the ship, and there's no windows. I mean, there's some have windows, but when you eat late dining or if different parts of the year, it's already dark in there and you can't really see them anyways. I think that affects me. And then also the Walt Disney Theater, because it is towards the front of the ship and it is low as well. So let me tell you about how I was a super bad parent and I feel really bad. On our very first cruise, we went on a 4-night on the Dream. I get motion sickness in the car, so I was a little bit worried. So does my older daughter, but no one else in our family does. I brought Dramamine for my husband, Dramamine for kids, for my children, and I wore the C-bands. The C-bands, they're kind of expensive. I thought that they would work better than they did. Maybe they worked a little bit, but not to where it was helping me all that much. I barely could get through my dinner. I know people swear by them. I think it really does have to do with the person, but the C-bands did not work for me, and I'm mad that I spent that money on them. You also can go to your doctor and get patches to put behind your ear. You'll see a lot of people wearing those on the ship. I think those help really well, but I don't know if it's that necessary. So on the first night, we usually do late dinner seating, and we did this time. And so we had the show first. So we were going to see the Golden Mickeys, and it started at 6:15. We got there at 6 o'clock. We were there kind of early-ish compared to everybody else. So we got really great seats, and we're sitting there, and the ship really wasn't bothering me all that much yet. But then as you sit there and you see the curtain swaying back and forth, so it starts messing with your mind a little bit. So then I started not to feel well, and then my husband started not to feel well. Well, we started talking about it, and then all of a sudden, don't you know it, but my kids are like, I'm dizzy, I don't feel well. Were they really? I have no idea. They could have just been saying that because they heard us talking about it. So I had the Dramamine kids with me. I had never given them that before. And my younger child is crazy small for her age. And so her age and her weight on medication dosage charts don't line up right. So I went with her weight. And then when I went with her weight, she wasn't even supposed to be taking this. So I gave each of them a half a tablet to see how it was. Literally as I'm giving them to, they are chewing them in their mouths, the Dramamine for kids tablets. And a cast member comes over and asks them if they want to be in the Golden Mickey show. So I was like, oh my goodness, I just gave them Dramamine. And all I've read about Dramamine is that it works when it makes you really tired. Well, not only did they want to be in the show, which is fine, but I didn't realize that at 6 o'clock, the cast member took my kids away from me and they went backstage. And then after they taught them little things, they went back and sat in the front row with them for a little bit. And then when the show started, they went backstage again for quite a while. So I wasn't with my children for about 40 minutes. And I had just given them Dramamine. And they were saying they weren't feeling well. So this is going through my head. My kids are going to be up on stage on their very first Disney cruise ever and barf all over the stage. Or they're going to fall asleep. Standing up in the middle of the performance and just falling asleep. That was what was going through my head. So the whole time I am panicking and praying that this does not happen because I felt so bad. I was about to ruin my kids' lives in front of hundreds of people. This would have been something that stuck with them for forever. So they actually did the performance and it was fine. They had no problems, but you could tell they weren't being themselves. then after the performance, there's like 30 minutes, and then there's dinner. I think we went back to the room to put something away or something. I don't know. We went back to the room, and they seemed okay. So we got ready. We headed to dinner, and we ate at Enchanted Garden, which is the lowest one. It's the other restaurants are on deck 3, and this is on deck 2 on the Dream. We were in the lowest possible one. You could really feel the ship moving. Oh my goodness, I love that sea bass so much, and I tried so hard to eat it, but I was feeling really, really sick, and I was just trying to get through it. Before I even took 2 bites of my sea bass, my kids were asleep. They were asleep on the bench, their first dinner, and we were so excited. And if you know anything about Enchanted Garden, we had a teacup seat. We sat in one of the teacups, the round booths, like the best seat, and we were all the way in the back, so we sat right next to the like mural, the outside mural thing that like dims, and you know, because it turns to evening in there when you're there. My kids totally missed it. They didn't eat any of their food. You know how you dream about your first Disney cruise and you get all excited and have all these expectations? Yeah, that totally went out the window because I gave my kids half a tablet of Dramamine for kids. So pretty much the rest of the night was a bust, and we just all went back to the room and went to sleep. My husband was a little sick. I was really not feeling well, and I had the C-bands. He had taken Dramamine, but right before the show. And obviously my kids were like out in Looney Town and like totally delirious and asleep because I gave them Dramamine at 6 o'clock. So this is what we learned from that experience. I will not do C-bands anymore. We also switched to Bonine because my husband was getting too sleepy with Dramamine. And this is a huge tip. Take your Bonine, or if you want to try Dramamine, take it at least a whole day before you get on the ship. So if you're traveling by plane, before you get on the plane, like the day before you start traveling, take your medication. And then every day of your cruise, take the medication. Even if you're on day 3 of your cruise and you're like, oh, I'm fine, I don't need it anymore. No, take it. When we get off of 7-night cruises, this is unbelievable. I think it's funny. I can, my house moves, like the ground moves, especially if I've been sitting down for a little bit and then I start walking around again. Like I am on a ship, I am on waves. And that lasts for like 2 to 3 days after we get off. And I do know people get physically sick once they get off the ship because of their sea legs. So keep taking the medication a day or 2 after you get off the ship as well. Always take your medication and try to take it at the same time. It really does work. You're gonna think that you don't need it because you don't feel the ship moving, but you don't feel the ship moving because your medication is working. And I think it is so fun when the ship rocks back and forth now that I don't get sick. Because it's so fun. You fall all over the place. I mean, you don't really fall, but I don't know, it's just fun to walk on because you have no control over the movement. It's fun. It's like a ride. So, wow. Put some stabilizers out. Whoa. What the heck? It doesn't even look that wavy. Okay, walk straight so I can film you. You're walking straight? Yeah. Oh, now it did. Right when I stopped. Is that on purpose?
No.
It's kind of fun. And now guess what? My kids, they don't even take anything. No Bonine, no Dramamine for kids, no C-bands. It doesn't even affect them. So they probably weren't even really seasick on that first day when I gave them the medication. They were probably just saying that because we were saying that and they were looking at the curtain swinging back and forth and they were probably like, oh, there's a curtain swinging, we must be sick. So I recommend do not give your kids anything unless you actually think it is 100% necessary or you know from previous experience. My daughter who gets really bad motion sickness in the car, the ship does not affect her at all. I don't know, it's some kind of weird kid magic, but they don't really feel the same way we feel. Yes, you can still get seasick on Disney Cruise Line, but the medication does help. Take it at least a day before you go on your cruise and every day of your cruise, and you should be just fine. Learn from my mistake. Do not ruin your first night of your cruise. I appreciate you guys watching so much, and I even like the people who subscribe to my channel even more, so if you want me to like you more, you should subscribe. Hang around my channel and check out more of my fabulous secrets about Disney cruising. I will see you in the next video, cruisers. Toodaloo!